What's up, guys? Bit of a different video here today, but I wanted to sit down and talk to you guys about the future of SEO. In other words, the future of the way in which we drive traffic to our businesses, be it you're an e-commerce store, a local business, a software business, doesn't matter what you sell. I want to talk about the future and what I think is going to happen in the ways we do marketing with search to drive traffic to our businesses. In other words, how the search is going to impact how much traffic is coming to our sites. Let me explain. And this is going to be quite a boring video. Most of you guys maybe jump off, but it's going to be quite a long one because I just want to yap and talk about what I see happening here. Now, first things first is volume. Like, it's all going to be about volume. Let me explain. So let's say my software, Arvo, A-R-V-O-W, right? Let's say we have a competitor called, Wallet. Okay, let's say this is a competitor of ours. No. There's two solutions. Let's say they're equal to each other. Arvo is as good as the other one. Okay. Now, who's going to win? Who wins? Again, we're assuming the product is amazing both ways. Like we have a great product, they have a great product. The business who wins is the one who can have the highest likelihood of showing up in front of the people when they search for it. Again, I'm just speaking about search marketing. Again, people search on YouTube, people search on Pinterest, people search on Instagram, TikTok, Google, people search on LLMs, people search on Grok, GPT, Perplexity. Like, I'm just talking about search marketing, okay? Not talking about ads and all that stuff, just search marketing. Now, the business who's going to win, and again, I'm giving you two examples for software, us and them, but this can be extrapolated to e-com and any other type of business, okay? Just stick with me here. So the guy who wins is the one who can increase their probability or their likelihood of showing up when someone makes a search. Now, how do we increase that likelihood? Well, it's through volume. And now more than ever. Why? Because when we're using LLMs, right? When I'm using ChatGPT, I'm hyper specific. I tell them stuff like, hey, my right knee is starting to hurt. It knows that I'm however many years old, I'm a guy and I like to work out. So the products it might suggest me might be different if a 55-year-old guy would be to search for the same thing on GPT. Let's say that guy works a corporate job, has to wear a suit and tie every single day, and maybe the knee bracelet that AI would suggest me to use won't suggest that same one to him because that one would be noticeable under his suit. Okay, so these LLMs are becoming more and more tailored. And you might have seen this, right? When you use GPT or any other LLM, more and more, like it remembers who you are, what you do. Just try it now. Just go into GPT or whichever LLM you use and ask it, hey, what do you know about me? You'll be surprised that it knows a lot about you, okay? Point being is that when we search for stuff on these LLMs, again, and I'm combining LLMs with Google because I'll give you the reason why, is we are hyper specific and they get to know who we are. So our product recommendations, our service recommendations are going to be more and more tailored as we go. And you notice this, right? Our ads, for example, ads have become way much more tailored the past few years than before because they have these big companies have so much info on us. Now, to tie this back in with the example of Arvo, the software company with the competitor, right? Who wins is who has the highest probability or highest likelihood of showing up first or being mentioned first when someone makes a search or types a prompt. Now, how do you get that? How do you increase that probability? Well, it's through volume. So let's say I have, again, we're two competing. If I have if Arvo has a bunch of content on its site, doesn't have to be like blog posts, the classic blog posts, but if we have a bunch of content on our site, writing articles going over what every single one of our features does, like not just a simple article, but writing, hey, Arvo has this feature, then write an article on, hey, this feature does this, it's for this ICP, this ideal customer profile, and solves this pain point. Here's a couple of people using it and how they succeeded. So a full-on page on my site going over how that specific feature, how Arvo has that, right? How my software company has that, how it's used, the pain point it solves, the customer it serves, and some tangible assets of people using it. We have 10 of those pages, one for each feature. Then, on top of that, we have comparison pages. We compare ourselves with every single one of our competitors. Let's say we have 20, 30 comparison pages. Okay, in-depth, real, not AI slop, real comparison pages comparing myself with all the other ones. tables, maybe even a video embed where I actually went in and actually compared both the softwares, tables comparing the pricing, the features, all that stuff, in-depth comparison pages, me versus all the 20. Then after that, more comparison pages, but then between the competitors themselves. So out of these 20 competitors, I make pages comparing the first with the second with the fifth with the seventh. So I create comparison pages comparing all that stuff. Why, you might ask? Well, it's because let's say people don't know about Arvo. Let's say there's two other competitors. There's the same one, the wallet one, and the AC remote one. If someone who has no idea what Arvo is, our software is trying to compare and see, okay, I'm indecisive, which one of these is better? And they ask GPT or ask Google, right? If there's an article in Arvo's site comparing these two, right? Even if these guys had no idea who Arvo was or is, right? They will go click a link and find a very in-depth comparison article between these two products which you were looking for on our site. And that just gives us another way to say, hey, listen, these guys are great. These are comparison, pretty in-depth article. But here's why we're better. And now, if we were talking about two different competitors, but we funneled the people who were looking at those two competitors into our brand by talking about the competition. Okay, so I'm seeing a couple of things. Like I've told you, I've talked about the in-depth feature pages, the comparison pages between myself and the competition, the comparison pages between both, the competitors, of course, and then you can also do alternative pages. Let's say I have a page that's titled 10 best alternatives to this. So I'm piggybacking off of my competitor's brand name. And I do this for every single one of my competitors. I can also do, hey, alternative pages to my own software. So maybe I've had past customers who didn't have a great experience with my software and they just canceled. And again, I'm saying software, but I can say e-commerce, agencies, local businesses, doesn't matter. This applies to everything, okay? I can try and rank for my own brand name alternatives because I don't want my competitors to rank for that, right? I'm doing that to them. I don't want to do it to me, okay? So I can rank for my own brand alternatives and I can try and write a piece of content that can convey them and convince them to come back to some extent, right? I'm not sure how many numbers I'm getting out, maybe this is the fifth one. But then you can also do informational pages. And this is the hack I've talked about for a long time, which is producing content about your competitors better than they produce content about themselves. A great example of this is PayPal versus Wise. Wise is a bank, a competitor of PayPal. And a lot of the pages that Wise ranks for are search terms of PayPal's searches. For example, if you type in how much are PayPal's fees, right? Wise shows up above PayPal itself. Why? Because the piece of content that Wise produce, a competitor of PayPal produce, is better than the piece of content that PayPal produced for their own pain points. So the goal here is to produce informational content about your competitor's customers' pain points. Let me give you another example. For example, let's say I own an e-commerce store. Let's say, again, keeping with the same subject of software. Let's say I'm not happy with Slack. Or let's say I'm using Slack and I type in on Google, hey, how do I add another profile to Slack? Or how do I create a new channel on Slack? If I a competitor, let's say I'm Discord. If I'm Discord and I can write an amazing piece of content that goes in depth on how to do that for Slack, right? It's valuable. I'm going to read through it and I'm going to understand how to do it on Slack. But then I can simply say, hey, by the way, on Discord, this is free and it's just a one-click thing. Give it a go. Why not? So I can piggyback off of other brands' brand name to drive traffic to my business. So all I'm saying is I'm giving you a bunch of ideas and topics of content you can produce because the guy or the business who's going to win is the one that has the most volume. Why? Because more and more search is going to become hyper specific, hyper granular. You know this, like you're using ChatGPT, right? You prompt it with something, gives you an answer. And you prompt it again, gives you an answer. You prompt it back and forth, it's like a funnel, right? Until the answer you have is refined enough. And from prompt 1 to 2 to 3 to 4, you're refining the answer more and more and more, right? Hey, I'm looking for a platform that allows me to connect with my customers. Answer, hey, here, there's Slack, Discord, Telegram, whatever. Then I'm refining the prompt saying, hey, okay, sure, but I'm looking for the cheapest one. Okay, so it's Discord and Telegram, they're free. Okay, but I'm looking for one that's the most professional. Okay, so it's Discord. So I'm refining the prompt, right? And it has my prompt refinery based in the answers, but also the previous knowledge it has on me. Hopefully this is making sense. So combine the previous knowledge that these AIs have on you with the fact that AI search is multiple prompt most times. How many times have you went into ChatGPT and just typed in one prompt? Most likely not many. Like most likely on GPT, you prompted again and again and again. So because of this, the knowledge that these LLMs have on you and the iteration of prompts that the AI search provides, again, my prediction that it's not just a prediction, it's reality, right? The long play here in AI search is multiple prompting, okay? Because of that, because you're being hyper-specific and hyper-iterating, right? The information that these LLMs are going to cite, right? When you prompt something, the sites that are going to source, the products that are going to recommend to you, right? Are the ones that on their sites or not, right? Have in-depth granular information about everything. So now you're most likely starting to understand the why. Why would we create in-depth pages going over all our features? Why would we create in-depth pages going over all our products? I'll give you an example for a physical product. Let's say I have an e-commerce store for gardening supplies, right? Let's say I sell garden beds, like a little metal garden bed where people can plant their vegetables, right? On the page, I should not just have the product. I should have a proper content piece going over, hey, this is what it does, this is what issue it solves, this is what the material is made out of, it's made out of metal, here's why it's made out of metal, because it's non-toxic, right? So let's say, and I've given this example in the past, let's say someone's on ChatGPT searching for, hey, I'm looking for a new garden bed, my previous one was made out of wood, and the rain messed it all up. And then GPT answers, hey, here's a couple brands, boom, 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 here's 10 brands. And I say, okay, these are made out of metal, the GPT says, hey, here's a couple ones made out of metal because metal, it's just has a long lifespan. And I say, okay, sure, metal is great, but I've heard that sometimes these metals, they're painted with some coats that have toxins in them, then the toxins go into the dirt, then goes into the vegetables, and then you're eating chemicals. And then the AI says, yeah, sure, that's true for some brands, but there's actually this one brand where they use FDA-approved non-toxic paint to cover their garden beds. Here's a link. Boom. And that shop that shows up there because on their product page, they had a dedicated section, a piece of content saying, hey, our beds are made out of this steel. Here's why. We also coat them in this paint because it's non-toxic USDA-approved paint, because other brands that don't coat them in that, then there's toxins that go to you get what I'm saying? So they're hyper-specific, and you need to be hyper-specific. In a world where people searching for stuff are being hyper-specific, you need to put out info in the world that's also hyper-specific. So that's a long-winded way, almost 15 minutes way of saying that if you want to see a future in LLM search, which is just a future, right? Where there's a hyper-specification, a hyper-granularization of search, you also have to do that in the content you put out, okay? That's it. Long rant. Let me know what you guys think. Let me know if you guys want more videos like this, just rant, no screen sharing, just yapping about. Because if you guys want more of this, I'll do more of these. So let's just do a test. If you guys want more videos like this, type in the comments SEO rant, okay, SEO rant. If you guys don't want more videos like this, just type in backlinks, okay? So more videos like this, SEO rant. No more videos like this, just type in backlinks. Guys, thank you so much. Like, subscribe. You can go and watch this video next because I feel like it's super valuable and didn't get many views, so click here to watch it. Thank you so much. Please leave a comment, and I'll catch you on the next one.